A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
My bitch a choosing lover, never fuck without a rubber. Never in the sheets like it on top of the cover. Money on the dresser, drive a compressor. Top notch hoes get the most, not the lesser. Trash like the buck for $40 in the club. Fucking up the game, bitch, it gets no love. She be cross country, giving all that she got. 1,000 a pop, I'm putting business off the lot. I smashed up the gray one, bought me a red. Every time we hit the parking lot, we turn head. Some hoes wanna choose, but them bitches too scary. Your bitch chose me, you ain't a pimp, you a fairy.
A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
Baby, you been rolling solo, time to get down with the team. The grass is greener on that other side, if you know what I mean. I show you shit you never seen, the 7 wonders of the world. And I can make you the 8th if you wanna be my girl. I say my girl, I don't mean my woman, that ain't my style. Need a real street stalker, walk a green mile. You piling up the paper on the dining room table, cause you able to realize I'm the truth and not a fable. Baby, rockin' Russian sable, keep that chiller on the rack. What I look like with some $1,000 shit up on my back. I'm $1 million man, they need $1 billion bitch. Put my pimpin' in your life, watch your daddy get rich. Easy as ABC, simple as 1, 2, 3. Get down with UGK, Pimp CBU with B. Cause what's a hoe with no pimp, and what's a pimp with no hoe? Don't be a lame, you know the game and how it goes. We try to get chose.
A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Artie of Artie's Corporate Fiction. Hope you guys have been having a great week so far. We are back, and as promised, we're going to finish up the custody hearing that we started on Monday. And I also have another video. Was it Code Blue Cam? No. We're not doing that one. I think I want to save that for Friday. But we do have another video in the wings for you guys afterwards, so it won't just be that. But I want to get right back into it as soon as possible. So let's bring up the video. Get right into it. Where we last ended, I believe Dad had finished his direct testimony from his attorney, and I believe Mom did not have any questions for her, or for him, I should say, on cross-examination. So let's get right back in.
Has Miss Williams indicated anything since October about
like before October, yes.
okay? Explain that a little.
Drove up there at 1 a.m., got back home at like 3
Mm.
o'clock in the morning getting my daughter because she wanted to take pills because she couldn't handle her friend Abby yelling at Kristen, yelling at my daughter, and she just had enough of it and she wanted to take pills. And I wasn't gonna let my daughter be there.
Did you ever know Miss Williams?
That's right, I forgot.
Whether when you were in a relationship with her or after that, did you ever know her to have suicidal ideations before?
No. If she did, she never told me.
Okay. Also, I don't have any other questions. Do you have anything else?
There we go. All right, now we're caught up.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Williams, do you have any questions for Mr. Hughes?
Nope.
I have a couple. So, sir, an order was entered in 2018. I think that's the last order that governed parenting time or custody. And at that time, you were granted supervised parenting time. Do you recall why that was supervised?
I don't remember.
And you were granted parenting time on Saturdays from noon until 6. Well, that's 4 years ago. I mean, 4.5 years ago. Have you exercised parenting time regularly over all of those years leading up to the current time frame that you're talking about?
So when you granted me that, the first weekend I picked up Emma, Kristen goes, "Oh, you can keep Emma down there. I'm gonna come down and get her." And when she came down, she pretty much moved in at my parents' house and lived there for a whole year. And she
No,
on
didn't.
and off.
All right, so the two of you cohabitated.
So what he's saying is, at a time when he was supposed to drop her off, or however they picked up for visitation, she just went. Instead, she said, "I'm gonna go down there," and she ultimately ended up living with him, with the father and the father's parents, for a time. It's odd.
Some respect for a period of time after that? All right. So you never really did the supervised parenting time then, if the two of you were together? Because all three of you were together, right?
Right.
All
Well,
right, so
we weren't
What?
dating, but she
No, I
was.
get it. I get it. So if that happened right after that order was entered, how long did she live there then?
She lived there for a year, and then she moved out, and then she came back and lived there for like another year and a half.
No.
Ma'am, I'll let you testify, just be quiet. So if we're talking 4.5 years, for at least a couple of those years,
You lived at
you weren't together, but you were living in the same place.
yes.
Okay. When did she move out of that place for good?
When she went to go live with her friend Abby.
And when was that?
I don't remember dates.
All right. So when she did that, did you have visitation after that?
Yes.
What was your visitation after that?
It was like every other weekend I had her.
Was it supervised or did you just have her on your own?
Well, I was living at my parents' house, so yeah, you can call it supervised.
Okay. I mean, you'd come and go. It's not like she was enforcing
Right, yeah.
supervision requirement. That, or was she?
No, she was. Kristen never told me that someone had to be there with me. I always came and got her by myself, and she never had a problem with that.
Okay. And so you had weekends then for some period of time up until December of 2021.
Yes,
Child's 7 now, right?
yes.
So what grade she in?
Second,
Second grade?
first.
And where'd she go to first grade?
First grade was it was supposed to start at, but then she didn't go to school for like the first like 2-3 weeks, and then they turned around and got the file transferred to.
So she went to like part of the first grade year,
Yes,
and then she transferred to Cedar Springs in December. When you got her, or January?
so
Your Honor, I think first grade is the grade that she's currently in.
yeah, first grade is the grade she's currently in. She
All
went to in a young fives and in kindergarten. Fives, I want to say it was like part of the year. Kristen got mad, moved out, took Emma, and that was it. And then kindergarten, she came back to and end of December, 1st of January.
All right, but she didn't go to school the first part of that year?
I don't remember what happened there. Why we changed like.
So when you got her in December of last year, not 2022, but 2021, did you have to transfer her from a school to, did you just sign her up for?
And there was much rejoicing.
I just signed her up for.
Thank you very much, Arian Rod, for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate it.
So she had not been going to school the entire?
Probably not. I don't know.
I'm not asking questions I already know the answer to. I'm trying to find out what's going on.
Kristen had her for that first semester. I had her for the second.
Okay, was she in school in that first semester? Sir, I'm asking
There
you.
was much rejoicing.
Oh, I don't know if she was. I just signed her up, and the school did everything else.
So you're not sure if she was in school in the fall of 2021 or not?
Yes,
When you got her in December or January, you signed her up for Cedar Springs and she finished out the school year there.
yes,
Did she go to school every day?
yes,
Did she do relatively well?
yes. That's when I was stopping in and seeing her during school.
Okay. And that was kindergarten then?
Yes,
Okay. And did they recommend that she move on to first grade?
yes.
Okay. Even though she may have missed some or all of the first half of the year?
Yes.
So they're now testifying that the father doesn't know whether or not the daughter attended the first half of kindergarten while she was back with mom, and they were back to now being separated. Father only knows that at least for the second semester, she did attend school, and then the school just, I guess they recommended that she move on to first grade, but we don't know.
She was doing really good in school.
Okay. How was her behavior?
For the first, couple weeks, it was bad. But when I started popping in there and seeing her and all that, then, her attitude changed. Like, I didn't go in there every day, but like, it was like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I stopped in there and I seen her until it was time for her to go to the bus.
Okay.
And her teacher was perfectly fine with that.
I'm sorry. How was her behavior at home?
At home, it was fine. She listened.
Explain her medical condition to me, or what she require medication for. Mom made an allegation that you didn't give her medication that she requires. Explain that to me.
I gave her medicine as it said on the bottle.
Okay, what does she have? What condition does she require the medication for?
She's got asthma.
Okay, is that it?
Yes.
So what medication is she prescribed for asthma?
There's a pill. There's 2 inhalers in her nasal, but one of the inhalers says take as needed, not every day.
All right, so the pill is every day?
Yes.
Did you give it to her every day?
Yes.
One inhaler is every day?
Yes.
And you gave her a puff every day?
It's like 2 puffs in the morning, 2 puffs at night, and yes, she got it.
She got those? Okay.
And the nasal was every day, every night.
And she got that every day?
Yes.
Every night? Okay. And then the second inhaler, she only got that if she had a bad reaction to something?
If she was coughing real hard or breathing real hard, she got it.
Okay. All right.
Because I was doing what the doctor told me, not what Kristen told me.
Okay. Well, that's good. Any other
Well, yeah.
condition that she has that requires attention or medication?
Not that I know of. Kristen doesn't tell me everything.
You feel like you have a pretty good bond with your child?
Yes.
Explain that.
Crandros, thank you for the gift. Thank you for becoming a member. So ultimately, what the judge is doing right now in these last bits of questioning is effectively he's going through the and he's going to mention it too when he makes his final ruling. He's going through the standards and the elements that a judge, or in this case, what they call a referee, to determine whether or not there's enough here to enough of a change in circumstances to award custody to the father. And in a lot of it involves the mom situation, as well as the father's situation in terms of the house stability, whether during the time that the daughter's with the father, how the relationship is, whether the father is, keeping up to date on the child's schooling, her behavioral issues, if any, and their overall relationship to each other, as well as the environment itself. So all of these elements come together to make the determination of whether or not changing physical custody or legal custody is accurate, because ultimately the standard is the best interest of the child.
What makes you say that?
She always likes to come to see me. She's always happy when, right now when I'm video chatting her. She likes being around me.
What kind of fun stuff did you guys do when she was living with you for those 6 or 7 months?
When I was at my parents' house, we played outside. When I had my parents' quad running, we went for rides on that. When I was started living with Sam, we went to the trampoline park. We go for trips. We go to the lake.
She yell and scream, splash around, have a good time when she's with you, doing stuff like that?
Yeah.
She's not all withdrawn or hesitant about being with you or anything like that?
No.
So you said she does well in school. She old enough to have, probably didn't have any homework last year that you had to really do with her, or did she?
It was just like reading.
You read to her?
Huh?
You read to her or read with her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Reading and, learning her, ABCs and, counting and all that.
Do you have a meal schedule? Are you kind of on your own for food or what?
I would make her food,
You made her food? Did you make her breakfast?
cereal,
Did she get school lunch or did you make a lunch for her every day?
she had school lunch.
Okay. How about dinner?
Well, when I was living at my mom's house, it was whatever my mom made for dinner. Or if she didn't make anything, it's chicken nuggets or pizza rolls. Or
Hey,
ramen
pizza
noodles.
rolls.
What about in your house? Well, you were gone because you were working the second shift, right?
Right. So it's whatever Sam made.
I mean, pizza rolls and ramen, I'll take it. If I'm like 7 years old, hell yeah.
Done for dinner.
Other than her asthma, did she have any health issues when she was in your care that required
No.
attention? No? Okay. She got plenty of clothes, toys, stuff she
Yes.
needs? Yep. Toothbrush, hairbrush, all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
What was your understanding of why Kristen asked her to live with you in December of 2021?
Just figured it's too much for her to handle.
That's what she told you, word for word, or something
No,
else?
that's not what she told me, but that's what I kind of figured because why else would she ask me to have Emma?
Yeah, what'd she tell you?
I don't exactly remember.
Okay. You got any kind of criminal record?
No,
You ever been investigated for child abuse or neglect?
no.
Do you know if the child would like to live with you?
I'm sure she would like to.
Has she said that in so many words, or are you just assuming?
She's happy when she's with me. Why wouldn't she want to not live with me?
With
I think that's actually a fair answer. And I think that's probably the best answer he can give, because you don't ever want to put words in the child's mouth, even if because in fact, as a matter of fact, the judge actually asked the hearsay question. He asked whether or not the child has said that she wants to live to live with the dad. So I actually would not even find that to be an appropriate question, even though he's the referee, the judge. But I think it's best to say, she's happy here. I don't see why she wouldn't want to be here. I think it's probably the best answer you can give there.
the child was with you for those 6 months or so at the beginning of last year, did you make sure that she could have contact with her mom, talk to her mom, see her mom?
Yes.
How so?
Video chat. Anytime Kristen wanted to video chat, she pretty much video chatted unless I was working.
She had parenting time on Mother's Day. Did she have any other parenting time?
When she came and got her. So that was like every other weekend.
So you never said no. She came.
No, I never told her no, she couldn't come get her.
Why didn't you file for custody then?
I was seeing her. I wasn't really gonna complain about it.
Any domestic violence between you and Kristen Williams?
No.
All right, Mr. Gould, anything else for your client?
No, thank you.
All right, and Ms. Williams, any questions for Mr. Hughes after that?
Nope.
No. All right. Mr. Gould, anything else you wanted to present?
No, we have no further witnesses.
All right, Ms. Williams, did you want to testify?
Yeah, because everything he said was not true.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, guys, strap in. Thea, I mean, I know a fair amount of family law, but it's too tough. It's too rough. I would actually prefer. I'd almost prefer to be a criminal defense attorney like Nat than go into family law. It's just it's rough. It's a rough field to go into.
All right, raise your right hand then. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you give in this cause to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and tell me what you want me to know.
So to start with, the last time he saw her was not the first weekend of October. It was 2 weekends prior to that, because her birthday was September 22nd. And he literally was at her birthday party for less than an hour, barely talked to her at all. Like, that doesn't show me somebody who wants to be a part of her life. Before my mom invited him to that, I hadn't heard.
Yeah, I think old Swishy Gardner makes a good point. Like, barely talked to her at all. I mean, You know, if she's at a birthday party with a lot of friends, then of course I think she'd want to be hanging out with the friends more so than hanging out mom and dad. I again, but I don't know the whole dynamic of what happened there. It depends on depends.
Heard
I
from
guess.
him for like 3 months. I hadn't heard from him since July. When they dropped her back off in July, that is the last time me or my mother heard from him. And as far as her medication goes, she takes a singular pill. She has an inhaler, a steroid inhaler that she takes 2 puffs 4 times a day. I mean, 2 puffs twice a day. So morning, 2 puffs in the morning, 2 puffs at night.
Okay.
She has a nose spray that she
Mhm.
gets daily. She has an albuterol as needed, which that one is an as needed thing. And she also takes a liquid Claritin every single day, which I've sent him medicine every single time she goes. Her medicine goes with her.
Okay, so ultimately, Dad has been fairly accurate in his assessment of what she's required to take. So I don't know why she's acting so smug in this testimony.
And I have picture proof of him not giving it to her because I got to the point where I counted every single pill that
How did she, yeah, that's also a good point. How do you have a picture of a non-action?
came out of that bottle. Or I took a picture before she left. I took a picture of the medicine before she left, and then I counted it and took a picture of it, but when she came back.
Okay, so right, okay. Well, number one, and the judge is going to mention this too. Number one, there's no way of being able to know whether or not you may have manipulated the amount of the pills at the time that you took these pictures. Number two, you where are these pictures in the first place?
Because she comes back and she does nothing but cough and cough and cough. And when I send her, she doesn't do that. When I was sending her, she didn't cough before she went to him. And then all of a sudden she was really bad when she got home. So that's when I decided to start recording the medicine before she went and when she got home.
Anything else?
And she has been going to school. She went to school with me. She started at White at the beginning of the school year before she went with my mother. So she didn't miss 3 weeks of school. She literally started first grade the day that public school started school. She started first grade. And she has told me and my mom both that Emma has told us
No
both
hearsay,
that
Your Honor.
Yeah,
Sustained.
how is it hearsay? I'm talking about the child that we're talking about.
but the child may be the subject of the hearing. She's not a party. She's not a party to the hearing. So it's still hearsay.
She's not a party to the case. She's certainly an interested party, but the two of you are the parties to the case. So things that you say
Okay,
to
so but
each
you
other
asked
are not hearsay. But and you know, just so I'm being fully transparent here, ma'am, you are like I said before, third parties, which include grandparents and other family members, don't have necessarily custodial rights to children in Michigan. Grandparents can get visitation rights, but the Michigan law doesn't really allow the court to grant custody to third parties. And
Which is correct. It's only in a very, very. The laws may have been changed. It's been a while, but only a very small number of states allow grandparents to never mind custody. Only a small number of states, allow grandparents like an active right of visitation. And fewer still custody. It's usually, in order for that to happen, the parents have to be completely and utterly out of the picture, in one shape or form.
including grandparents, unless certain criteria are met. that criteria is pretty extraordinary. You would have to make the parents would actually have to be unwilling or incapable of caring for the child. If that was not necessarily the case, the court would have to find that the parents were unfit to care for the child before the court could actually grant a third party or a grandparent custody in Michigan. So that's kind of an uphill battle you're fighting right there. You would have, for whatever reason, I think you've determined yourself to be incapable of caring for the child by sending her off with somebody else.
Exactly. Which is easily and far and away the most damning evidence against her. The fact that she willingly gave up her parental duties to her mother out of state is practically evidence enough to award a change in custody.
So but I have taken care of this child.
But you gave her up.
But you're not right now. But you're not right now.
No, she's not right now.
So I guess what I would need to hear from you would be some kind of evidence where I could make a determination that Mr. Hughes is unfit. Otherwise, I really have no choice but to grant him custody.
The fact that he doesn't give her medicine is not a factor to you guys?
Well, he testified that he does. It is, and
I have picture proof that he doesn't.
I don't see any pictures.
What pictures?
I don't have any pictures in front of me.
That's because I don't know how to send them to you guys.
You might have them.
Well, maybe, yeah, as OSG mentions, email, fax, regular mail, drop them off, or you could also hire counsel and they'd be able to do that for you.
But I don't know. I mean, and you could manipulate the bottles. I'm not saying you did, but it's somewhat suspect.
And again, as the judge mentioned, even if you did have these pictures, their usefulness is suspect when it's very easy to manipulate the number of pills in these bottles.
I didn't manipulate any bottles. I literally counted the pills.
Okay, but from the time she left. But it basically comes down to your word against his, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And other than that, I mean, he's testified that he's got a good relationship with the child. They do fun stuff together.
They don't have a good relationship.
Made sure that she got to school every day and she did well in school when she was in his care at the end of last school year.
So threatening a boy with a pair of scissors is having a good, stable thing at school?
What? Okay.
You threatened somebody with a pair of scissors?
She did.
Okay. Was it addressed?
He yelled at her about it. He didn't talk to her about it.
Were you there?
Yeah.
You saw it?
Because I asked her, because she came home, because that was the day, it was one of the weekends that I picked her up from him. And she's like, Mom, I had a bad day at school today. And I was like, why? What'd you do, Emma? And she goes, well, I threatened to stab a boy. I threatened to stab a boy with a pair of scissors. And Jacob was like,
the hearsay objection, Your Honor, still stands.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think it's really trying to prove the truth.
Yeah,
truth of the matter asserted. She's
okay.
Yeah, I would agree with the objection to the hearsay because it's not being told for the truth. It's only the matter that it was said. And what that means is it's an exception to the hearsay rule in which you're not she, the mom, isn't bringing the daughter's statement as to prove that the daughter did in fact threaten a kid with a scissors. It's only it's simply a matter that it was stated and that she responded to the statement, not that the statement was itself a factual statement.
It certainly is what the child said, but and I mean, kids do things as long as it was addressed by a parent or the parents. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. Is if your child does something wrong, you address it. I guess it all begs the question, man. Why isn't the child with you? You've got custody. Why do you keep sending her off to live with other people? You sent her off for 6 months to live with dad. Now you've sent her off for the better part of a school year to live with your mom. Why is that? Why can't you take care of her?
Because I was having medical issues. myself, that I need to take care of myself so I can be alive for my children.
Okay.
Do you all want me to die so that my children don't have a mom?
No, lady. But if you are, number one, yes, a lot of parents deal with medical issues. Number two, if you admit to that, if you understand that, then I feel if you were in this situation, you would want the other parent to get involved and be able to take care of the kid while you get your life together. It's just, but you're so stuck in the mentality of being against dad that you don't even see it. You're willing to let the daughter stay with anybody except dad, and that's what it looks like to the judge. It just seems vindictive. It looks vindictive to everybody watching.
I didn't say that. I simply asked why the child wasn't living with you, and you've told me now. I didn't make any insinuation that I wanted anything to happen to you. Simply asking questions.
Because I have medical problems that I needed to get figured out. And I'm getting them fixed. I have surgery in 2 days for them. Wait, what is today? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. In 4 days, my bad.
I cannot ever speak to this. I'm not a single parent, for God's sake. I can understand that it's hard. I can imagine it being extremely difficult, and I can imagine those parents having trouble, especially dealing with maybe physical or mental ailments while dealing with a child by yourself. But that's when you get the assistance of people to come to you to help them, not destabilize your child's environment by sending them out of state and depriving her of access to both you and her and the other parent. It just,
and I don't want my children to watch me have to go through this hard situation, because guess what? It takes a lot to fight a medical condition.
All right. So you sent the child to live with Mr. Hughes last school year. Why didn't you have him simply live with Mr. Hughes this school year?
Exactly.
Because he manipulates my child to where she tells me she hates me. She has told me time after time she hates me, and it comes from her dad. That's not okay. I've never told her.
Okay, thank you, Cerebral Taco, for the $5. PSA, don't do crazy. No, not leg, dry or otherwise. Not in way. CVS and DoorDash can make a successful combo. Thank you, Cerebral. My problem is that what she says is not unheard of. Actually, I feel like it's fairly common in custody issues, where it's basically called parental alienation, where the parent will try to pit the child against the other through word games and manipulation, saying how bad the other parent is, how much they hate them, how much they don't like them, etc., etc. So the allegation is not uncommon or unheard of. It's just right now there's not really enough as the judge to go with that. Because number one, we don't have the daughter to testify. And two, we're several years later. We don't have it. There's just simply not enough to go on based on her word that dad is doing this to mom.
To ever hate her dad. When she calls him by his name, I correct her and tell her, no, that's your dad.
All right. Mr. Gould, any questions for Ms. Wing?
Just a few, Your Honor. Ma'am, you mentioned that medical issues are why you sent Emma to live with your mother in Florida. Can you explain what those medical issues are?
That's my own personal issues. I'm not telling you all my medical conditions. No.
Can you tell us what surgery you have scheduled in 4 days?
That's my personal business that nobody needs to know but me and my doctors.
So one of the best interest factors that the referee is going to analyze when determining if Jacob should have custody or if you should have custody is the medical conditions that both of you have and whether those would impact your ability to parent Emma. And it sounds like you're testifying that your medical conditions do impact your ability to parent Emma.
Yep. So congratulations, you played yourself. You've effectively testified that a major element in granting the father custody is the fact that you admit that the reason why you gave her up was because of medical issues that you were dealing with.
Effectively. Is that correct?
No.
So the medical conditions aren't severe enough to send Emma away to Florida?
I sent Emma to Florida because at this point she needed an attitude
Honestly, that was probably the best question asked by the attorney.
adjustment because her dad makes her hate me and I'm not doing it. I shouldn't have to be hated by a child that I do everything for. I do everything for this child.
So you sent
Except take care of her. Send her to school, maybe?
her to Florida because of an attitude adjustment, not because of your medical condition.
Oh.
You are twisting my words. I'm not.
This is why you have an attorney. This is why you have an attorney. Because he's able to ask these kinds of questions. And an attorney is also able to protect you when these kinds of questions come up. So, yeah.
Answering any more of your questions.
You did testify that you heard the discussion about Emma threatening a boy with scissors, correct? Ma'am? Your Honor, can you help me out here?
I'll direct you to answer the questions. If you fail to do so, I guess that's up to you, but it's not going to weigh in your favor and I would make a decision in this matter.
He's twisting all of my words, so what's the point of answering him?
Because we're making a record here. If you want your opinion considered, offering your testimony is how you do that.
So, ma'am, again, I'm asking about the incident where Emma threatened the boy with scissors that you had testified to earlier, correct? Remember that?
Yep.
And is it true that you testified that it was on one of the weekends that you picked her up from Jacob's?
Yep.
So Jacob did have Emma for a period of time between January and June.
He did not have her from January until June. No, he did not have her for that whole period of time. No.
He did have her for a chunk of time then. An extended period of time that allowed you to have weekend visitations, correct?
Yeah, but it was not from January till June. I don't know where they're getting this information.
Okay. And is it true, Jacob had testified earlier that after the 2018 order was entered, that you moved into his parents' house for a period of time. Is that true?
Not as long as he's saying, but yes, I did move in with his mom and his dad.
And then he also testified that you'd moved out and then you moved back into their house a second. Is that also true?
Nope.
Okay. Where are you currently living now?
Still at the same place I was when he dropped Emma Lou off.
That would be your friend Abby's house?
That's my house, yeah.
Your friend Abby's house. But now she has to correct. No. My house. I swear I have a stable place of residence.
Yes, I get mail there.
You say that's your house. Do you own it?
No.
Neither of us own the house. We pay rent.
Okay, so you pay rent, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with renting. It can be a stable household, but it's not your house.
Okay. How much do you pay in rent?
I pay $550 a month plus my utilities.
Okay. And you are employed now?
Sure am.
Where are you employed at? And how many hours do you work there?
Let's see. This last week I put in the last 2 weeks I put in 93.25 hours.
A lot of hours. So do you work, I think you said at the beginning of this hearing you work third shift?
I just recently moved to third shift, but I'm going to be moving back to my original second shift.
You currently work third shift.
Yes.
Okay. And who would be babysitting Emma while you're at work?
So obviously the attorney is grilling her on her current living situation, her current home life, obviously to contrast how less stable her situation is compared to dad.
Or do you plan on leaving her in Florida?
I have friends and family that are more than willing to take care of my child, who have been a part of her life a lot longer than her dad even has.
Okay.
So it's not your intention to leave her in Florida?
I mean, I want her to stay there to finish school. Yes, that is what I want. Is for
All
her
right. I have no further questions then, Your Honor. Thank you.
I like that.
All right. Ma'am, anything else you want to say?
Can we talk to my mother who's been taking care of her for the last 5 months?
You can call her as a witness if you wish.
Sure.
All right. Ms. Ryan, you need to unmute.
Unmute. Yes,
All right.
sir.
Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm any testimony you give in this cause to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Ms. Williams, you can ask her any questions you have at this time.
Can I refer to her as my mom? Because that's what she is to me.
Fine with me.
Okay. Let's see. Has Emma's attitude been a lot better since she's been in Florida with you?
It has.
Has she been doing good in school?
She is improving.
Does she see a counselor because she has a lot of trauma from her life?
She just started seeing a counselor at school this week.
You know what would exacerbate behavior problems with a young child? Sending her out of state to live completely away from both of her parents. I feel like that would probably cause some problems. I don't know. I'm not a child psychologist. I'm just speculating here.
Has she told you that she doesn't want to go live with her dad?
No, Your Honor, hearsay.
That is definitely hearsay.
That would be a hearsay statement, so I would sustain that objection.
I don't know.
Yep.
Am I allowed?
No.
Your Honor, am I allowed to answer that question or no?
No. Is there any way you could go inside? That wind is creating a lot of interference.
I really can't. I'm at work and we're at a park right now, so
All right.
I'll try to go somewhere better.
All right.
But go ahead. I can still talk and walk and.
Before, let's put it this way. Before the court hearing for my show cause, how many times did Jacob communicate with Emma?
Maybe called her 3 times before the court was brought into the whole situation.
How many times do I talk to Emma?
Almost every day.
I don't even know what else to ask because I'm so like.
Again, also why you should probably get counsel. I know lawyers are expensive. And sometimes you can get you may not be able to get the best lawyer. But I feel like having good competent counsel will help you in, especially when the stakes are so high in custody, family, child support, crime, etc. It's always best to get a referral. Like go to your local legal aid center, your local counties, even the local courthouse probably has access to available people out there, and it's always best to get a referral. That's how I learned it. How I taught is the better attorneys are those that you get from referrals and not those you get from advertisements.
If anyone else would like to question me, it's fine.
All right, Mr. Gould, any questions?
Sure. Ma'am, you're living in Florida now, but do you still have a house in Michigan, or did you live in Michigan at some point?
Yeah, we still have a house there.
Okay, and so why are you living in Florida and not in Michigan right now?
I'm a snowbird. I come down here for the winters and come up there for the summers.
Okay, so you still have your house in Michigan?
Absolutely.
And is there a reason that Kristen can't live at that house?
Nobody's living at that house. We shut it down.
Gotcha.
There's no heat, no water. We closed it all down.
Sure.
Sounds about right. I wonder how often that's the case. Maybe do a lot of people up north do it, or is it just folks out here in New Jersey? I feel like New Jersey's the one that has the meme of folks coming down to Florida for the summer, but it has to be it's probably more common than I realized.
And, how did it come about that Emma was going to live with you down in Florida? Or I guess my question is, when you were discussing that, was there ever an idea that you would stay in Michigan so that Emma could stay in Michigan? So maybe Emma would live with you, but it would be in Michigan?
I have a job down here that I had to come down to.
Okay.
I work here and I work there.
So you had you had to move to Florida for your job.
Well, it's not a have to. It was a choice, but
Sure.
I have employment in both places.
Okay, that's fine.
So it was for work. I come down here for work.
Right. But I just wondered if there had been any discussion about you staying in Michigan with Emma with you versus going to Florida. But there wasn't too much of a choice because of your employment.
Absolutely, right.
Okay. And then I know Ms. Williams doesn't want to testify, but do you know what her medical issues are as to why why she couldn't take care of Emma during this school year? I have no further questions. Thank you.
Yep.
Ma'am, do you have any legal documents that substantiate the child being in your care?
Kristen filled out a power of attorney paper and we had that notarized.
Okay.
And that paper was good for like 6 months.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
All right. And that was sufficient for enrolling the child in school?
Absolutely. It was school, it was medical, it was everything except name change and marriage, I believe.
I mean, I will say that with OSG, in fairness, Grandma at the very least is doing what she can, for the situation for what it's worth. So it's not like it's not like my issue has always been with Mom, not Grandma. Grandma at least seems to be trying her best in the situation that's been given to her.
Okay. Did the school ask if the child had another parent who had rights?
I can't recall. I do know I gave them that paper when I enrolled her in school down here.
They didn't ask about dad though? So does she have a dad? Or
No.
does he agree?
No.
It's only one signature on the power of attorney, I'm assuming.
No, his signature wasn't on the power of attorney because Kristen had sole custody, so you know, I don't know, I guess misunderstanding on our part on how it all works.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Well, it's created
the
quite a
wind's better.
situation.
Yeah.
It's created kind of a bad situation because, you know, I'm faced with
Um,
having to decide custody between two parents. Unless, like I said, I can find that they're both unwilling or incapable of caring for the child or unfit. And it appears that Ms. Williams might be incapable of caring for the child at this immediate point.
I've never
but
been
I'm not
incapable
finding-
of taking care of my child.
Well, you sent her off to live with somebody else.
You sent her away.
So that shows some incapability of caring for her for whatever reason. But I'm finding that Mr. Hughes is not unwilling to care for her. He doesn't appear to be incapable of caring for her. In fact, he did for maybe not 6 months at the beginning of last year, but for some substantial period of time. And he's not unfit. So I really can't decide third party custody at this point. The law doesn't allow me to. So,
Your Honor, may I speak? His mother took care of Emma 90% of the time.
Your Honor, if she's going to
Okay, all right. Maybe I'm taking back a little bit of what I was saying. You know what? Maybe grandma is actually a little part of the problem too.
testify to that, I'd ask for a foundation. If it
yeah, you need some foundation for that, or some evidence to back it up. I mean, you're probably talking about something you heard from another person. You didn't live in a house with them, so you don't know that for a fact.
If you need me to,
he stated himself that he worked from 3:30 in the afternoon until 11 at night.
Yeah, that, you know what? Yeah. So do a lot of people. A lot of working class people have really terrible and tough hours. That happens, and you're gonna use that. And I hate that. You know what? I take back what I said. I really hate that I completely forgot she said this. She's using dad's shift against him. Yeah, it's gonna be tough for him working that shift to be able to have a decent amount of time to spend with the daughter. 3 o'clock to 11 o'clock. But he's working. He's doing what he can. What do you want?
Well, that's when Emma was home.
Yeah. Okay. And he's trying to provide for her.
It doesn't mean he's unfit. He's
I never said he was unfit.
And she also wasn't in school at that point, so he was home with her during the day.
And
yes, she was. How was she
if
not
he
in
provides
school?
other capable care for the child, that's no different than Ms. Williams. She said that she worked third shift, but she had other people that could watch the child if she needed.
Because my child would be sleeping.
That's what you do when you work.
When I go to work, my child would be sleeping.
Okay. Ms. Williams, any other witnesses you wanted to present?
Not at this moment, but I want to say right now that clearly you guys aren't taking into the consideration that when she went down there, he didn't contact her for only 4 times. I literally call my daughter almost every single day. There might be a day here and there that I don't contact her because I'm tired, because I work all the time.
But if he's working that shift, I don't know.
But I still make an effort to call my daughter. And even when on most days I talk to her 4 or 5 times a day, I still make an effort to talk to my child every single day.
It sounds more and more like it's more work and the attitude adjustment than any medical condition that led to the child living with your mother, though.
No, it's not.
Well, okay. Mr. Gold, anything else you wanted to present?
No, thank you.
Any closing arguments?
Your Honor, I think it's clear that in this instance, for whatever reason, whether it's medical, whether it's work, whether it's an attitude adjustment, or for whatever reason, mother is not capable of caring for the child at this time. She also wasn't able to care for the child at the beginning of 2022. Dad was able to step up at that time, took care of her. He made sure that schooling was taken care of. He made sure that the medical was taken care of. And he's simply asking that if mom is not able to care for the child, custody revert to him so that he's happy to abide by any parenting time schedule. I think mother should have visits. I don't know that they need to be supervised at this point. But I would say the standard schedule, alternating weekends. Emma needs to come back to Michigan so she can see both of her parents and she can thrive in what she's already familiar with. She can live at the home with father and his girlfriend, who she's also familiar with. There's no indication on the record, or there's no substantial evidence that would show that he has been unfit to care for her during those time periods. She argues that she calls her child every day and dad does not. She's the one that sent the child to Florida because she's not able to take care of him or take care of Emma. Dad is able to take care of her.
Yeah, I would say again, the idea that she like, oh, well, I call her while, you know, she's in Florida. It still rings hollow when you were the reason why she's away from you in the first place. At least dad is able to be with her in person.
But dad doesn't call her.
He doesn't need to call her when she's living with him.
Doesn't make an effort to even see her.
We would ask.
I'll give you a chance to make your closing argument. Just be quiet for a minute.
As far as
and she's given up.
The contempt show cause, Your Honor, we're not looking for any substantial like fine or anything like that. I think the matter was we wanted Emma returned to Michigan so that father can continue to see her in some capacity. So like I said, no fine, but I wouldn't mind if on the record she was found in contempt for violating a court order, but our end goal is a change in custody.
Ms. Williams, any closing arguments you want to make?
None of you, like, I don't know why none of you see that he before she even went to Florida, he didn't see her for 3 months. And now all of a sudden, because she went to Florida, now he wants to play dad again. Like, how is that fair to this child?
How is it, again, how is it fair to her? How is it fair to the child to completely uproot her to live with a relative in a completely different environment? She's in kindergarten or going on into first grade, or is in first grade now. That's not fair to her.
You're gonna make her come home and be what? Sad, depressed, angry because she has to come home?
You wouldn't be in this situation if you didn't send her in the first place. I'm sorry. I keep repeating the same point. I'll continue on.
She's thriving in a school. She's doing what she needs to do. And now all of a sudden we're going to rip her yet again from another school. Because I hate to say it, this child should not be in first grade. There's no way she should be in first grade because I don't know how they passed her from kindergarten.
Okay. Deacon, thank you for the $10. This display has me thinking it is not about the child, it's about her. She seems to be trying to use the court to establish control of the father. I'm just falling here. Deacon, you're describing, you know, a significant amount of custody battles with that super chat. That's what happens here. Whether it's mom or dad, the child is usually the pawn for the tools of the parents to get after each other. It's not all of them. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of, and there are a lot of instances where the parents are able to make it work and not, you know, use the child to spite each other. Don't get me wrong. But in a lot of the instances, a lot of the cases that you see do get attention, either through YouTube or in the media or what have you, it does become this, where it's less about the interests of the child and more about the parents trying to get after each other.
Anything else?
No.
All right. I'm gonna take some time here and review my notes, and I'm not going to turn off the Zoom, but I'll stop the live stream and go off the record at this. All right, we're back on the record. Mr. Gould, on behalf of his client, filed a motion regarding custody, parenting time, and support. Also, a show cause was filed. The law is somewhat unclear, I guess, on the necessity for court's permission to change the domicile of the child when one parent has sole legal custody. That's certainly true that permission is not required to move more than 100 miles in Michigan, which normally it is required if one party wants to change the child's legal residence with joint legal custody. Case law is a little bit less clear on whether that same permission is needed or not to move the domicile out of state. I guess based on what I'm about to order as far as custody is concerned, I don't know that the determination on the show cause is absolutely necessary. So I'm going to dismiss the show cause. As far as custody goes, the way a custody motion works is that the motion is filed. Court has to make an initial determination on whether there's a change in circumstances or proper cause to consider the motion. And the judge heard at least some initial statements on December 12th regarding the motion. And in setting it for further proceedings, I assume that she was of the opinion that there was a change in circumstances or proper cause to consider the motion. Whether that was specifically articulated or not, I don't know. But at this point, I will make a finding that there is proper cause to consider the motion because the child's not living with either parent at this time. So that then.
So the judge just said that there was before we even go forward into making an analysis, there first needs to be a showing that there has been a marked change in circumstances of the current living arrangements as it was previously understood it to be. So I said, obviously, there has been a marked change in circumstances because the child is no longer living with either parent. She's in another freaking state. So from there, now he's able to analyze what's going to be the new paradigm going forward.
Shifts the focus to whether there's an established custodial environment with either parent, and be determined at this time that there really isn't. The child has lived here and there for, it sounds like, a lot of her life. She lived up until 2018 or 2016, the case was filed, and there was an order entered as we've gone over through testimony in 2017 and then in 2018, granting custody and parenting time. But then the parties resided together under some arrangement for the better part of a couple of years over the next three, from 2018 to 2021, give or take. Then it sounds like mom moved out of the dad's house, or the dad, his house with his parents, and lived on her own for some period of time. But then the child went back and lived with dad from sometime around a year ago until around the end of the school year. Dates are somewhat foggy because the parties are not in agreement on those dates, but for some period of time anyway. And then the child went back with mom, it sounds like, for the summer, maybe a few weeks at the beginning of the school year. But then the child's with the grandmother, and really a custodial environment has to be established over time. And the child hasn't had a significant length of time with anybody really to establish a custodial environment at this point. I guess I will state that probably the most stability that she's had, it sounds like, were those 6 months or so with Mr. Hughes over the last few years. So as far as the two parents are concerned, I'm not sure about the situation with grandma right now. Maybe it may be just fine. However, as I've indicated, this is not decided between a third party and a parent. This is decided between the parents. And I don't even get to the
And there was
point where
much
I can
rejoicing.
consider third parties for custody, as I've stated, unless either parent
Thank you,
is
Theo, for the 99
determined
cents
to be
super
incapable
sticker.
of or unwilling to raise a child, or both parents are considered to be unfit. And I'm not making that finding at this time. So at this point, the child custody factors would be analyzed by preponderance of evidence. The testimony, and Ms. Williams was given ample opportunity to present any testimony she wanted. Her testimony didn't necessarily consist of a lot of things that could be plugged into the 12 child custody factors. Mr. Hughes did. So the first factor.
Yeah, shocking how that works. Almost like the Mr. Hughes, the father, had an attorney who helped him.
Comes down to essentially a bond between the parent and the child, whether who the child's bonded with, who the child goes to with problems, does a parent relate to a child, things like that. Specifically, the law says the love, affection, and other emotional ties existing between
And there
the
was
parties
much
involved and
rejoicing.
the child. And Mr. Hughes testified about his relationship with the child, the fact that they put things together. They go to, they play outside, they ride the quad, they go to the trampoline park, they go on trips together, they go to the lake, he reads books to her, he prepares cereal and school lunch, or the lunches at school, but dinner's prepared for her. And I would find him in favor on that factor. The second
Thank you, Cindy, for the $5 super chat.
The parties involved to give a child love, affection, and guidance, and continue raising the child in the child's original and to continue educating the child. It appears that I don't know where the child really went to school from for the fall of 21 or the fall of 22 up until she moved in with her grandmother. But it sounds like he provided schooling for the child for the second semester anyway of the last school year. When the child was residing with him, it sounds like there was some issue with the threat. It sounds like that was dealt with. He noted some behavior issues, so he made himself a presence in the child's school. He said that improved things. He said at home she was just fine. And for those reasons, I would find him in favor on factor 2. Factor 3 is the capacity and disposition of the parties to provide the child with food, clothing, medical care, and other care recognized under the laws of the state. Mr. Hughes testified that the child has food and clothing in his care, and those necessities aren't in question. And I would find him in favor on that factor. The next factor is the length of time the child has lived in a stable, satisfactory environment. As I've indicated, the child appears to have moved around a fair amount, and hopefully that's not going to become a problem as time goes on or in the future. It sounds like Dad was really ready, willing, and able.
Thank you, RA, for the $99.99 super chat. Waiting to send when Artie's not paying. Thank you, RA, for the very generous tip. That's always appreciated.
On an extended basis. It sounds like it doesn't sound like the mom, Ms. Williams, is really capable of raising the child on a consistent basis. Child was with both of them, then with mom for a short period of time, then with dad for 4 or 5, 6 months, then with mom for the summer, and now with grandma for what was presumed was going to be the school year. So it doesn't sound like Ms. Williams really has the either the capability or the interest to provide long-term care for this child, and I'd find in favor of the father on that factor. Fifth factor is the permanence of a family unit in either home. It sounds like Ms. Williams lives with a friend and Mr. Hughes lives with his girlfriend. So that factor is not really relevant, I guess. The moral fitness of the parties involved. I didn't hear anything that would cause me to believe that either of them were immoral or that they had a criminal record or abuse neglect record that would affect their ability to
This is true.
parent. So I wouldn't consider that factor. Mental and physical health of the parties involved.
However,
heard
this
three
factor,
different reasons why Ms. Williams was not able to raise the child on a steady and consistent basis. I heard she works too much, that the child needed an attitude adjustment, and that she had health issues. So that would certainly impact that factor. And really her mental health, I guess. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. Her behavior on the record was a little bit out of the ordinary, and her testimony or statements consisted mostly of yelling and not really just calmly and coolly presenting evidence. And so I'm not really 100% sure what's going on there, but certainly it appears that that there might be some issues going on, and I would find in favor of Mr. Hughes on that factor. Child's homeschool and community record. I didn't hear a whole lot about the homeschool or community record from Ms. Williams. Mr. Hughes, however, testified that the child did well in school when with him. She was recommended to be passed on to the next grade. I don't. Guess it would have been nice to see some attendance records for that period of time to establish the exact date she was in his care. I didn't have that to consider, but I guess she was in kindergarten then and she's in first grade now, so must have been a recommendation that she move on. So I'd find in favor of Mr. Hughes on that factor. Next factor is the child's preference, and I don't know what the child would tell me. She might say she wants to live with grandma. She might say mom. She might say dad. Really, it's not going to be relevant at this point. And I don't like to say that because I think kids should have a chance to have some input in these things, even though it's not usually enough to overcome substantial amounts of evidence to the contrary. But I guess I'm assuming that the only real options here are between Ms. Ratton and Mr. Hughes, and that Ms. Williams' house isn't really an option. So, that for the reasons I've stated regarding third-party custody, I guess the child's preference or in-camera child interview isn't really necessary. So that's not going to be considered at this point. The next factor is, it's a long one, but it comes down to the ability of the parents to co-parent. And it sounds like when left to their own devices, they co-parent okay. I mean, mom was having an issue. She needed to lean on dad for a place to live for a while. And he moved her in. This is his parents' house, but he moved her in for a couple different periods of time, it sounds like. And then mom needed help with the child at the beginning of last year. And dad stepped up and he took the child under his wing and provided care for her for the rest of the school year. And then when mom wanted her back, he gave her back.
With it, which honestly, again, the father at that rate, he should have probably fought to have physical custody at that point. When mom and the child ended up moving in with him and his parents, he probably should have done that because, again, at this point, he was probably still paying child support to the mom for those 6 months.
And they saw the child for whatever periods of time in the meantime, and the child was with the other parent. So it sounds like they can co-parent when they have specific operating instructions, maybe, but. Then this issue with the child being sent off to Florida through a monkey wrench and things, and so I'll find the parties equal on that factor. The next factor was domestic violence. It didn't appear there was none testified to anyway, so that factor wouldn't be considered. Any other factor that the court feels is relevant, certainly the child being moved off to live in Florida is relevant with the third party over the objection of the parent who was the father. He has not agreed to that. He's not been found to be unfit, so his opinion has to be considered. And an order can't be entered contrary to that opinion unless the court were to make that unfitness finding over his objection. And I've said 3 times now, I think I'm not making that finding. So at this point, Mr. Hughes will be granted sole physical custody of the child. The parties will be granted joint legal custody of the child.
Sole physical, joint legal, which is about right.
The child will be returned back to Michigan and in Mr. Hughes' care. Ms. Williams, to the extent she's able, will be afforded reasonable parenting time pursuant to front of the court reasonable parenting time policy. And I need some more information to determine a child support obligation here. Sir, you said you make what per hour?
Like, I want to say
All right, you work 40 hours a week?
yes.
Do you have any other minor children besides this child?
Yes, I have a son that lives in the UP.
How old is he?
7.
All right, mom has reasonable parenting time. You'd have 263 overnight. She would have 102. Who's typically claimed this child for a dependent on tax time?
I have, but I've always given Kristen most of that money for having me claim her.
Yeah, so no. Well, so that's not really how it's supposed to go. If mom had physical custody of her, she is the one who's supposed to be claiming her. Then again, if dad was working and mom wasn't, then dad would probably claim her and then give the return to mom. But still, generally speaking, mom is supposed to be the one to claim her if she has physical custody.
Oh, you do not. Don't even lie.
I'm not.
Well, you know what, lady? Serve that as payment for dad for paying you child support while you were living with him.
Order doesn't determine it, then it would.
Oh, and also paying you child support while the child wasn't even living with you at the time.
Be the party who has the child the majority of the time would be the party who would claim the child. So I'm going to put that in dad's column. He had the child for 6 months of last year.
No, my mom
He's got
should claim
custody
her.
going forward.
No, my mom should claim her.
No.
No, your mom's not going to claim
No.
her. Mr. Hughes is going to claim her. He's the parent. He had the child for the first 5-6 months of the year.
No, he didn't.
Then you had the child for some period of time.
Listen.
Your Honor, could I say something just real quick? My phone's gonna die. I just need real quick, just my phone's about to die. Is there any way we can wait till the end of the school year to send her back to Michigan so she doesn't have to change schools again?
No, she shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been changed down there in the first place.
Exactly.
I guess if Mr. Hughes agrees to that, that's fine, but I'm getting the idea that he doesn't. So that's
And he better figure out a way to bring her home.
Ma'am,
Well, that's. I'm repeating myself again. That sounds really vindictive.
how much do you make in your position at your work? Where do you work? How many hours a week?
Between 32 and 40.
You have minor children. How many minor children do you have in addition to this child?
3.
3 total or 3 more?
3 more.
And do you claim
She has 4 kids total.
those children for tax purposes?
We split years between my younger 2, and then my son's dad claims him.
And sir, do you claim your son or not?
No, his mom does.
He doesn't even see his son.
Either of you
Oh,
have
what? Really, lady?
health insurance on the child?
He has Medicaid.
Florida Medicaid at the moment.
Cute child support real quick. All right, utilizing the incomes provided in the overnights effective January 1st, Ms. Williams would be ordered to pay $213 a month support, 15 ordinary medical, total of $228 per month.
So now mom has to pay $228 a month on child support.
And Mr. Hughes' support would be set to 0, obviously, at that time. He'd be the recipient of support. Child's to be turned over to Mr. Hughes within 7 days. Anything
He's
further from
gonna
that?
have to. He's
What's
gonna
that?
have to find a way to come get her, Your Honor. My husband and I both work full time. I've got no way to bring her back.
Are you able to meet halfway?
It would depend on the time. I've got, I get like 3 days off and then I go back to another job.
Are weekend? My client's available to drive on the weekend.
My weekends are when I work. I work for a food vendor. We work at art festivals.
Your husband as well?
I guess we can try to figure something out. Like I said, my battery is really going to die. You guys are probably going to lose me any second. But go ahead, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just don't have a way to bring her totally back to Michigan.
I get that. I mean, a situation has been created here against Mr. Hughes' interests.
Yeah. So why does he have to bear the burden? It wasn't his fault that the child is in the situation. It's not his fault that we now have to figure out these logistics. So why put the burden on dad? we all know why, but yeah.
And to require him to drop everything to travel to Florida to pick up a child that shouldn't have been there in the first place,
He
at
did.
least not for this long. He addressed this right off the bat. He filed his first paperwork back in the beginning of November, as soon as this whole deal went.
The beginning of November, when I believe the announcement was at the end of October, the last half of October. So it's not like he waited a long time to file these paperwork. He acted, or maybe I should say the girlfriend acted quickly.
Went down. He should have been the one who was asked.
But he didn't contact his daughter. He may have contacted the courts, but at that time he was not in contact with his daughter.
So the contacting the child isn't going to bring her back from Florida.
Okay.
But regardless, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You.
So whatever's easiest on him, Mr. Hughes, what's the quickest you can maybe meet halfway to pick the child up or go get the child?
Meet halfway tomorrow.
I can't do it tomorrow.
It's gotta be a weekend because I work Monday through Friday.
Well, I'm at work right now until Monday.
I mean, I can talk to my boss and see if I can take a couple days off to drive halfway down there.
Jeez. You know,
But
yeah, this is frustrating to hear.
that's me losing money.
Ms. Williams, what about you? I mean, you're kind of responsible for creating this whole situation. What can you do to help get the child back sooner rather than later?
I have no way to go get her. My car's not going to make it to Florida. There's no way.
Your Honor, we were brainstorming. Maybe my
she's
client
not
is willing to
flying-
fly down to Florida and
she's-
pick up Emma and bring back, but there's the cost of the plane ticket is the
She's not flying from Florida back home by herself. No.
right.
He
I
said
suggested
he would fly down there.
Yeah, it would be him. It would be dad flying to Florida and picking her up and taking her back.
Yeah.
Well, I can't upfront money for him to fly to Florida because I pay $325 in child support on my son, and now you want me to pay him $215.
Why am I not surprised that she's paying support on at least one of her other children?
A month, like that leaves me with nothing to support my other children at all.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody cares that.
All right, so Mr. Hughes is going to fly down and get the child. Ms. Ratton, he'll let you know when he's going to be there and what time to have the child available for him. Ms. Williams will repay the amount that it costs for those flights within 6 months.
I don't think she should have to pay it all.
No,
Why?
I'm not.
I'm sorry, what?
Repay the amount that it costs for those flights within 6 months.
So you got 6 months to pay the ticket.
I don't think she should have to pay it all.
No, I'm not.
And then, yeah, exactly. We'll be back here for the contempt hearing.
Okay, well, if a contempt proceeding is filed as a result of that, then we'll have a hearing on that. But at this point, that would be the order. Is there anything further for today?
Just to be clear, Your Honor, when you said that dad can claim Emma on the 2022 taxes, is that going to be written in the order?
Yes.
And I'm not terribly familiar with the Nuevo schedule. When would mother's first weekend visit be?
It'll be this weekend, so more than likely 2 weeks from now, every other weekend.
All right, I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
All right, we're all set then. You get orders in the mail within a couple of days.
So there it is. And this is honestly for me like a perfect example of, if you're dealing with something like this, for the love of God, get counsel. Because yes, the cost, the attorney bills, it's going to cost, but in the vast majority of cases, it's going to be worth it, because now dad will be able to get his child and no longer have to pay support, but now be able to get support and to help him with the child's finances. And now the mom, finally gets her comeuppance, which honestly seems well deserved based on what we saw. did who have any potential argument, in my opinion. Jassa with her? No. Based on what was here, the only way you could possibly make this case of mom giving up the child to a third party is if she's dealing with substantial, and I mean substantial, medical issues, and there is documented evidence of abuse or some sort of something far greater than this allegation that the father's not giving her all the medication and that he's not calling her as much as he should. There needs to be a far more evidence in play to justify what she did, and there was none of that in on the record. All right, we're gonna go to some First Amendment auditors because I feel like we haven't seen that, and we haven't seen anything new on this channel regarding First Amendment auditors in a minute. And this will close out tonight's stream. But the this is out of Dummy Kruger. Shout out to him. Absolutely. This dude's a legend. And it's a two-parter. A two-parter video. And it's about apparently a town, an entire town fighting back against a group of First Amendment auditors. And it's actually pretty fantastic. This is part 1.
Welcome to the Dummy Kruger channel, everyone. Today we are covering the most recent shenanigans that took place on February 13th of this year, where we have a group of First Amendment auditors once again descending on the small town of Sheridan, Colorado, to protest a new ordinance that prohibits the filming in certain areas of their City Hall building. If you haven't already, please see part 1 that's linked in the description below that included the arrest.
I think this might have actually been the last video we showcased on this channel from Dummy Kruger, where these group of auditors, including Denver Metro Audits, getting arrested. The ordinance, I believe it was, you could not record anybody in the City Hall building without the consent of the individuals being recorded. And obviously, this ordinance was passed in response to these jokesters acting up. And the way it sounds exactly like the ordinance that was the subject of a court ruling in Sheets, SHEETZ or TS versus Punta Gorda in Florida. It's an unpublished case, so it's not like it's precedential. But it was a case that upheld an ordinance of that nature against a First Amendment auditor, finding that the contingent of consent by the owner was sufficient to justify or sufficient to uphold the ordinance prohibiting recording inside the City Hall building.
Best of 5 of those auditors, followed up by part 2, also linked in the description, showing the town coalescing around their city council members and their police chief. In part 3, we actually see auditors return in person to the city council meeting rather than on Zoom, where we find a raucous crowd of Sheridan citizens away.
Oh, no, wait. Oh, this is the wrong one. My bad.
With that,
this was the first one. Sorry.
said, I want to address directly all those fake activists out there that came over here and disparaged that man especially. I know fake activists when I see them. None of you would have made it in the 70s where we had people die, fight, and get hurt for the fight for civil rights so that we could come up here and speak our minds.
Oh my God.
Today's video is once again taking us back to the city of Sheridan, Colorado, specifically a city council meeting featuring public comments. I've been covering First Amendment auditors now for a few months, but I can honestly say this one actually taught me an important lesson. Viewers of content such as mine, as well as viewers of First Amendment auditors, oftentimes find ourselves in echo chambers. Those
Yes, true.
who watch First Amendment auditor videos probably get some sort of rush seeing people stand up to the government, no matter how outlandish it can seem to those of us on the outside. The viewers of those channels may have been wronged by the government.
Yep.
Maybe they feel their current status in life is to be blamed on government intervention, or possibly they just want to be a part of a community. For a lot of watchers of channels similar to mine, you are here for a certain purpose as well. Maybe it's the emotional response a lot of us feel while watching their antics. Maybe you're just here for a quick laugh or possibly hear my reaction to what I deem as quite a bit of misinformation. Whatever the reasons are, a great many of us fall into the same trap of an echo chamber.
And he couldn't be more accurate. If the people who watch and enjoy auditors, a lot of them will obviously have a certain opinion on government, police, public officials, etc. It can be ideological. It can also be what Dummy Kruger said. They may have been shafted, may have been screwed over, or they feel that they have been screwed over. They feel that they have been shafted by the existing institutions, and therefore have an axe to grind, or feel that people, there needs to be more accountability, as it were, in the actions by public officials and our existing institutions. Which, on its face, I actually have no problem with that. I actually have no problem with accountability at all. I mean, for the love of God, if we don't hold public officials accountable, it's a slippery slope into unfair actions and the inability to correct those actions. So I have no issues with accountability in our existing institutions, police, municipality, county, state, what have you. But then there are also people who just simply have an axe to grind. It can happen. And then there's the other side, generally where I kind of lean in, where I look at these auditors and I'm not seeing a good faith desire to hold people accountable. I see less a good faith belief that what they're doing is making a difference, and more people who want to get a rise out of public workers doing nothing but simply their jobs and making money off of it. People who are in it for the grift. They're not in it. And people like us, we see it, and we see, and the problem that you have, let me finish up with the auditors. The problem that you have with the auditors is that they warp themselves into thinking that every single person within these institutions are completely corrupt. They will leap at the chance at violating your rights and have no sense of integrity whatsoever. Like, all of them are are corruptible or subject to corruption. There's no individual working here who are in good faith trying to do the best that they can in the situation that they're in, whether it be police officers trying to keep a community safe, or do the job that they're being asked to do, whether it's a public official or a city clerk who's trying her best to provide records access to the citizens, or fill out forms, or process things and provide a service that she's been elected to do. In there, it's all for these guys in the pro auditor community. They're all targets. They're all, as they like to say, public servants. They're beneath them, beneath the we the people. Therefore, we can record them, harass them, talk shit to them, say everything we want to say negatively about them, and basically look at them as though they're not even human beings who with any kind of sense of feeling. you know, they have no feelings. They're supposed to just take it. Go to the other side. There we go. You go to the other side. We have us, where I look at these guys and I see they're nothing but grifters. They're nothing but charlatans. They're just here for the buck. They're here to get a rise out of people. They're no different to me, in my opinion, than the freaking prank YouTubers of yesteryear. You know the prank YouTubers of like 2009 to 2013 that were all over the place, where the only thing that they did was to try and get a rise out of people for the views. That's what these guys are. Instead of just regular members of the public, they go after public officials and police. They are just there to poke the bear, with a stick, as much as they can, in hopes that somebody makes a mistake and somebody's button is pushed too many times. Me and many of you guys like me, we look at these guys and we're hoping we see a tase, we see an arrest, we see, sometimes a member of the public who says, you know what, I'm going to take the assault charge and rush after the guys, because the way these guys act, they act like the most disrespectful, despicable people who have no sense of sensibility and proper decorum in a polite society, where it's tended to be frowned upon to insult people and berate them, when, from what we see, they've done nothing more than have a uniform on or work at a particular place. So a lot of us are itching to see, the handcuffs come out, or somebody take the camera and chuck it across the street. But I feel like sometimes we also in the Watchdog community can find ourselves becoming a little bit of an echo chamber, where we find ourselves despising these guys so much that sometimes it causes us to put the rose-colored glasses on and overlook the few moments where there is an overreach, where there are times where somebody goes out of bounds, who is in a position of power or in a position of authority. And I think that both groups are capable of this, are capable of finding themselves too far deep in their community and in their echo chamber that they'll excuse or ignore, or they'll overlook the moments where there is an excessive use of force, or they do in fact have a right to have their camera out. So I think both parties are capable of that. So I think I agree. So this whole tangent was, I agree with what Dummy Kruger said. We all are in our echo chambers. We're all guilty of it. Fine. It's not like it's evil, but it's something to try and be aware of and be cognizant of it.
For that reason, and a few others, I felt as if this story was definitely an important one to tell. Outside of this tiny sliver on the internet, real people as well as whole communities can be affected. This story began last year when Denver Metro Audits was denied a records request he made. That request was a single picture that an employee took of him during one of his, quote, audits. When that denial was handed down, and after weeks of berating city employees, Denver Metro and Reagan Benson turned up to a city council meeting.
Thank you, Richard, for the $4.99 super chat. Party for president? No. Here's a Starburst campaign, please. God.
Where they were informed that a new ordinance had been recently drafted.
Give you a copy of that. To John. You want a copy of this? A hard copy? Here, I got more.
Oh, what do we got going on here?
You did a couple more? How many more?
Oh, they know the balls are gonna come crashing down. He just signed an administrative order to prevent us from recording.
But we're gonna come back. I'm gonna probably bring as many people, because a lot of people are gonna want to get in on this. we're going to come back in a group, and we're going to come in here and record. And this administrative order is not a law.
Oh boy, this is gonna get interesting.
A month after that meeting, a group of 15 auditors arrived at City Hall to challenge this new prohibition on filming in certain areas of City Hall, resulting in the arrest of 5 of them.
So if you guys been following the story, you know that they made an administrative order that says that we can't record in here. So we are here, guys. All right. We're getting arrested, guys. Oh, let me put this down. Let me put this down because I don't want it to get. I don't want it to fall. So we're under arrest, guys.
Approximately a month after this arrest, this same group of auditors put into action a new plan to take.
I completely forgot that one of the auditors was a weeb. He has a freaking Goku hoodie on.
Over the public comments portion during the next city council meeting. Denver Metro Audit, Benson, and a couple of others showed up in person to address the city council once again. But this time, they lined up dozens of other people from around the country to comment via Zoom, resulting in the meeting lasting for hours. It's important to note, none of these people actually live in this community.
Of course not.
And only hear what is being regurgitated to them by the likes of Reagan and Denver Metro Audit.
Martinez and all of the, Lieutenant Mitchell and all of his people that arrested us. There's no qualified immunity, so we'll see how this goes. We're going to sue everyone personally. I hope you guys are up to date on your premiums for your insurance because it's going to cost you guys a lot on that one.
Hi, my name's Reagan, and I'm back.
I don't know how they say they're going to eliminate their qualified immunity. Even assuming arguendo that the order that the officers arrested them for would be struck down, the officers would not lose their immunity because they would say that they acted on the existing order that said it was lawful for them to charge them with disorderly conduct or trespass or whatever it is, whatever it was, pursuant to the order that they perceived to be, that they understood to be lawful. So even if they were to strike the order down, which I don't think they have, they still wouldn't have lost. I don't think they would lose their qualified immunity.
I asked you guys to evaluate some things last time I stood up here at the podium. I love, Desiree, how you look down and don't pay attention to anybody that's speaking. Look at you. Look at your snide face. This is called Gestapo Junction.
Oh my God. Godwin's Law. Gestapo.
Martinez. And it's being led by you and Cranberry. Oh, you know what, Cranberry? Keep your head down. Don't look up because you will get no respect from this podium because you don't deserve it.
Cringe.
Look at you laugh. You think it's funny, don't you? You think we're going away? You don't think we're going to play your game, Cranberry? Because that's exactly what you're playing. And you're playing with fire. You should have listened to the peaceful people. And you think arresting 5 people for recording is something to put on your professional resume? You dumbass. You're an idiot.
Your police department arrested 5 people. You had men and women come with guns, tasers, pepper spray.
So the standard issue equipment that a police officer has these days. So, yeah.
Torture cuffs?
My name is Josh.
Torture? He said torture cuffs. Oh God, no. God, guys, if you know what they say, if you say torture cuffs 3 times quickly in the mirror, you summon chili.
From South Carolina. I run an independent channel called I Solemnly Swear. Those are the first 3 words of the oath of office of not only the police officers that unlawfully arrested 5 citizens for exercising their rights.
I would like to say, Mr. Martinez, you are a disgrace to our last name. My name is Antonio Martinez from Arizona. I would like to thank these 5 citizens for representing our rights.
You don't even go here.
Just to reiterate, This went on for hours. On January 23rd of this year, this group attempted to do the same thing, only it was thwarted this time. This time, the community of Sheridan came together to denounce the actions of this group of auditors while also rallying support for their city council that they voted in, as well as the police chief that they hired. But before the meeting started, Reagan Benson had a few things to say.
You know, we could force them into a recall election.
I appreciate her Xbox Live quality gamer headset. 10 out of 10, solid.
Which would force them to have a special election.
What?
In the city of Sheridan. If we were to recall 3 or more of those city council members.
Again, you don't even live there.
100.
Mind your business.
120 days before the next election, which would be this fall, we can force them to hold a special election. Things could get really tense for the city of Sheridan if the people want to pull that together.
This is why I wanted to tell this story. The overwhelming majority of people don't reside in the same bubble a lot of us do. And the comments from the community prove why it's important to get out of your echo chamber at times. Regan here is under the belief that this community will be on her side.
Clearly, I don't know why.
She's under that impression because, surprisingly to no one, her viewers' comments all lead her to believe that. Viewers which don't reside in this small town. Let's hear from the police chief first, while also notating the reaction from 2 of our freedom fighters.
And then I just wanted to thank everybody, our community members, for showing up. This is what community looks like. This is what civility looks like. Thank you. I've spent many years trying to protect others.
Canada is watching.
The word got out that we were all attacked last city council meeting. And it's a hopeless feeling, especially for a police chief, when you're the one that usually can step in and stop when there's things going on that needs to be stopped. I couldn't do that because of freedom of speech, which we will always protect.
Oh,
However,
my God.
the individuals that showed up today
You
show that
mad.
there are limits to free speech as well, and they're willing to step in the line when need be. So to all the community members, family, friends, all of you for being here, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Wow, what a fucking piece of shit you are.
Whoa. Jesus. Oh my God.
Martinez, you. Punk ass.
Wow.
Whiskey though, I'm telling you.
Biggest fucking piece of shit I've ever met in my life.
They really...
He is. Damn, they are mad. I just looked it up. Sheridan is a town of 5,500 people. 50, according to 2010 census. Why is it 2010? Wikipedia, update your crap. So about I'm going to say the estimate, 6,000 people. It's a tiny town. It's a small town. So I want to make sure I knew that going in here.
They hate hearing dissenting opinions while simultaneously droning on about Gestapo tactics. This is the same group of people that enjoy shoving their cameras in front of people's faces, usually resulting in a negative reaction. When they get that negative reaction they so crave, they often say, "Why are you so triggered? It's just a camera." And here we have Denver Metro losing his grasp over his own emotions and getting really triggered. Let's now jump to the public comments section of the latest city council meeting.
I'm up here because I watched a video of the abuse that you all had to take the last meeting.
Ooh.
And it pure.
And here, okay, so this is all going to be their reaction to actual members of the community. And I want to note that, let's be real, the vast majority of us, myself included, I don't go to my local town's meeting. I don't. I feel like I should, but I don't have the pressing need, or I don't have the existing interest to do it. So the people who are here, in my opinion, are the people who do care. The people who are actually willing to take the time out of their afternoon to go to a town meeting are people who probably are the most involved in their communities. So I also want to take that into consideration, and also given the size of the town.
Created me. And I want to say I'm sorry for you all even having to put up with such a vile, hateful person. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And I'm shaking right now because of it. It
Literally shaking. Leave me alone, Jake.
made me so mad. We chose you all to be in the positions that you are in. So I just want to apologize for what you all had to go through. And I'm sorry. And I pray.
Oh, you guys are missing it. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Paid actors. Of course. It's always paid actors.
For the girl, I do, because there's something wrong with her. And I pray for you all in our
Oh, she's talking about you.
in blue, because we love you and we thank you for everything that you do in Sheridan for the community. Thank you.
Oh, look, they're all clapping. They're clapping, guys. Wait till we show up next week, because like they can.
I also watched in horror the proceedings that you all had to deal with your last hearing. And I'm 67 years old. I haven't always been on the blue side. So when I speak, I hope people understand that it's been a long process. And part of that process in my development was being introduced to Chief Martinez. My last name is Martinez. We're not related, but I like that sound, Chief Martinez. And it took us many, many, many years and many hard struggles in order for us to finally get the leadership that could sit down at the table. And when I see our leadership being attacked and the people,
the bootlegger, as he's talking about how apparently this chief is doing, community policing, which is being accessible and engaging with the community that he serves, which you would expect, you would want as a member of the public to have a chief of police do.
People that opened their arms to our leadership, which is you all, so that we could continue to make those progressive changes. It appalled me. So I just felt it was necessary to come and let people know, especially the ones that had did what they did, that it's unacceptable. Freedom of speech comes with responsibility.
I'm here in support of the city council and the police departments. I appreciate everything that the city council is doing for the city of Sheridan. I have lots of people that I know that live in Sheridan, and it's becoming a better place to live on a regular basis. And thank you all for the help and all the hard work you do behind the scenes, because I learned a lot just today and want to thank you for it. And the police department.
Yeah, I am biased.
Something that I 100% support. I feel like the police departments protect our citizens, our communities.
Mayor and council for allowing me to speak. I'm Shabib Gallegos. I'm at 3788 South Knox Court. I just wanted to echo what we've heard tonight. I am so sad for you all that happened, and my heart breaks that you guys had to endure that. So thank you for continuing to show up here again today after all of that.
I'm a civil rights activist. Okay?
Yay!
And for the record, let me state that.
Oh no! Oh no! Was that Reagan saying, "Yay, I'm a civil rights activist"? Oh no!
For a city that's 47% white and 41% Hispanic, I'd like to see this community get a little bit more color up on that day as for us. Okay, just for the record. With that said, I want to address directly all those fake activists out there. Came over here and disparaged that man especially for the work he's doing for this community. It's a shame they don't know who he is or what he's about. That man did come from Denver, and I heard those comments that lady made. He did come from Denver. He made a conscious decision and a choice to come to the city that has the highest crime rate in the state of Colorado. Who would do that except for somebody that truly wants to better a community that looks a lot like he did growing up? Let's be real. This community is made up of a high percentage of Hispanics. A lot of them are Spanish speakers. You guys needed somebody like this man. You may be great people. I'm not certain of that. I can't attest to your
Who's he
character.
pointing
But I
his
can
finger
attest
at?
to the character and honor that that man possesses and has. He has brought to the community car shows where the community gets together with the police so that the community can see that they're not our enemies. I brought all 4 of my grandkids.
What does being Hispanic have to do with it? Well, I mean, he already stated that the town has a very significant Hispanic population. I think he said it was 40% Hispanic. So it has a significant Hispanic population, and I think having a Hispanic chief of police means something to them. You know, for whatever that's worth. You know, I feel like if Martinez is doing his job regardless of his race or ethnicity and is being an active in community policing, that should be what matters. But I also understand where he's coming from, that the fact that there is a Latino chief of police can mean something, but he's also demonstrating that he's not just there with a Hispanic last name. He's doing things. He's engaging with the community and doing the community policing that many people have been asking for and been demanding from our current existing institutions.
To the fishing derby. And for the record, the only problem I have with that man and this department is that the next time you have a fishing derby, you invite the cops and the people, but don't forget to invite the fish. Where were the fish, my brother? With that said, I know fake activists when I see them. None of you would have made it in the 70s where we had people die, fight, and get hurt for the fight for civil rights so that we could come up here and speak our minds. And I'm talking to you people. That man has honor and integrity.
All week preparing a speech, opening with some jokes about First Amendment auditors. Decided I won't go that route either. What I will say is thank you for your service to this community and the ones around it. None of you should have had to endure that. And clearly by the showing in this room, that's not how the actual community you serve feels.
Thank you.
So thank you.
These are not serious people, folks. The cackling throughout, the comments being showed on screen that DMA puts up, the disparaging remarks made about citizens standing up for their council and police chief all show to me who the serious people were in this situation, not some YouTube creators that melted down.
That they were fearful to come to work, and that we were posting personal addresses and actually exist.
Said during the meeting.
Okay, here we go. Now we're in the next part. This will be the last video for the night.
Mayor, when I first was here and you walked in, I said hello to you. Remember that? And you completely ignored me. Acted like I didn't exist. That was rude, man. But I was actually reading this discovery here on my case, and really, it just upsets me every time I read it, because the only thing that is actually accurate in here is my name and date of birth. So every single police officer, Martinez, Connolly, all of them, they all lied on their police statements, their police reports. Every public employee lied. I think that they were coached into saying what they wanted to say by Martinez. But they all said that they were fearful to come to work and that we were posting personal addresses and phone numbers. I've never done that, Martinez. I've never posted your or Connolly's personal phone number or addresses. I don't even know where you live. I would never do that. They're saying that they're getting death threats, stuff like that, which I don't condone. They're saying that.
But I'm willing to bet a lot of money that you're one of those auditors who does the whole please do not call 201-867-5309 and do not redress your government with that number.
My followers are inciting violence on the public employees. I don't tell my followers to do anything like that. We do not condone that.
The golf clap. Spotted the out-of-towners.
No, that was a sad little applause. I also find it a little humorous how upset he was the mayor didn't say hello back to him, but how can he honestly be shocked by this after the treatment these members have endured? As for the rest of his little speech, he's been known to dox people in the past. A couple of months back, he got into an argument with a bounty hunter, which led DMA to posting this man's full name and phone number, resulting in threatening phone calls to this person. To add to that, he may not personally be posting the police chief's or city council members' personal information, but he does often encourage call flooding if his viewers feel compelled to, quote, redress these public employees, which apparently led to some employees becoming fearful to return to work. Okay, let's jump to two actual citizens from the town of Sheridan to see how they feel about the whole situation.
Emotional tonight. There's so many citizens of Sheridan coming out and speaking out, and I was worried I was going to be the only one coming here because there's no money involved in coming and saying thank you for what you've done. I really appreciate everything all of you have done. Thank you, all of you, especially you, Chief Martinez. Thank you so much for what you have done. All the programs are fantastic. Also, slide up here. I know you get probably nothing but complaints about photo radar, but I appreciate it. And there's just one weird trick I would love to tell people about that they probably don't realize that can help you fool the photo radar, and that is if you go the speed limit. Yeah, but it really works because I haven't gotten a ticket somehow, magically. But I would love to see more because I think when people see it on one side, they're like, oh, my side's clear, and you just see them speed up. It'd be great if there's a second one there so they'd realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't just race through a school zone while kids are trying to cross the street. So thank you so much for those. Please don't let negative comments get to you. Know who your citizens are. Know that don't let the charlatans get to you when you have sincere citizens who really care about what you do.
Yeah, charlatans. I'm sorry that he may have used an SAT word for you. How about ass clown? I'm sure you've heard that one before.
Keep your armor up and know that
grifter.
People love you and they love what you're doing.
Snake oil. Salesman.
This is what I really tried to hammer home in part 2 of this series. The actual citizens of Sheridan that hired the police chief and voted in the city council mostly seem to support their efforts in policing and governance. This is what this group of auditors are having trouble grasping.
Carpetbaggers.
Because
nice.
The feedback loop they continue to get are statements like this. James writes, holy crap, these guys better pray that there is a God and he is good because they are crooked. Oh my God, the wrath of God is going to strike them down. Old James here doesn't sound unhinged at all. Aubrey writes, they filled that room with family and friends to make it look like they have support and people to back them up. Yes, Aubrey, the only explanation to all this taking place is conspiracy. Static Clean writes, you guys did great tonight. I hope you nail their asses at the next one. Okay, buddy. Calm down. When you're constantly in this echo chamber, it makes it very difficult to have any sort of retrospective in regards to your own actions. Okay, let's continue to the next speaker.
First off, I want to kind of show the difference between the people that you represent. Those are the people using their real names and their real addresses. They're not hiding behind pseudonyms.
I gotta say, if city council meetings actually offer pizza, I mean, I'd be down to attend my local council meeting more often.
Or screen names. These are the people that appreciate you. As you hear, the people who live in your city, they love what you do. So the people who don't live in your city, the people who don't even live in your state or your country, bring you down. Those are the people that are doing their best to get into between you guys and into you guys.
Wait, is that an auditor taking the pizza?
I both live in the city of Sheridan and I work in the city of Sheridan. I'm an executive at a veterans organization here in the city of Sheridan. I'm a veteran. And I have fellow veterans with me in the room, and we support you. It's not all veterans that are against you. We do love what.
First time attendees bring the pizza. I mean, I will agree to those terms. How about that?
You do. We love that you represent us, and we take great pride in representing the city of Sheridan. So, from the chief, the city manager, city clerk, all of you guys do a great service for us. We are the ones who elected you here. We are the only ones that can take you out of here. We love you. We respect you. Keep doing the good work that you're doing. That's all I have. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
I really felt this gentleman laid it out perfectly. The community that voted these council men and women into office are standing behind their elected officials and police chief. So after this man spoke, another man came up to the podium giving his name as Mike Hunt. One of the residents of the town found his choice of name to be distasteful, resulting in a little bit of an argument.
Oh, wow, really? Okay, I actually missed this part of the video.
That's when Sweet Tea Audits decides to stand up and insert herself in the situation, leading to a much bigger confrontation.
Oh, God.
Who is this bitch to even question what the hell his name is?
So he called himself Mike Hunt. Of course.
Why are you asking?
You want to go get that?
Yeah, I do.
Speak to you first. Don't film me.
Hey, what are you doing, lady?
Oh, I'm standing in front of your
No, you're bumping into it. You can't do that.
That really
Oh my God.
gave me some major "get away from me, lady" vibes that Chili DeCastro unleashed on Kate from Troll Mafia
I remember that.
last year when they first encountered one another.
Touch me.
That's harassment, ma'am. That's harassment.
Harassment.
Yeah, you did.
CRS 18-H-111. That's harassment, ma'am. Unwanted touch.
That's harassment.
You can't put your hands on people, ma'am.
What you want?
You can't touch our cameras. You cannot touch them. That's against the law. Yes, you did. You bumped right into her.
You did.
Unacceptable. Yes,
Excuse me,
Don't
you
touch
just
her.
did.
I'm trying to walk out. Your camera was.
You just stepped on my foot and my camera.
Again, this is what happens. This is what happens when it's not just the local officials. It's not just the local officials that you decide to piss off. Because eventually, you're going to find a member of the public who's like, you know what? I'll take the charge. I'll take the assault charge. And they're gonna, you know.
As you can see, the more you around, the more you're going to find out.
Yeah.
Step on.
She did not.
Don't punch my camera, lady.
Stepped on my camera. What's wrong with you? That's against the law.
Are you drunk? Are you drunk?
Everybody please leave.
Are you drunk?
The meeting
Don't bump into me.
Are you drunk?
Don't bump into me.
Are you drunk?
now.
Go home and drink, lady.
Now you're coughing in front of them? There's always in trouble, Mike. In there.
My goodness.
Let's go.
It's getting tense. You have members of the community squaring up against these auditors in the middle of a council meeting.
Face off here. Come on.
And the chief, doing what he can to de-escalate the situation.
Yeah, you brought your, what do you call it, hyenas in here.
What's that supposed to mean, lady?
You know what I find really funny about this is that Denver Metro likes to portray himself as some sort of anarchist. But if this video is any inclination, I don't believe he would fare so well in a lawless society. In this meeting alone, he has requested security.
Wait, so does Denver Metro Audits actually self-describes as an anarchist? I don't watch enough of his crap, and I really don't have the desire to really make an assessment as to whether or not he's actually said that on several occasions.
Escort him out of
If so, he's a clown.
the building out of fear. He claims this woman somehow broke the law by standing in front of Sweet Tea's camera, and towards the end of their video, he's afraid to walk to his car, so he stands outside on the sidewalk for 30 minutes until everyone leaves. I have a suspicion he hasn't really considered what an anarchist society actually entails. But if anarchy ever arises within the United States, I know I'll be headed to Colorado first to snag this sweet cardigan from my grandmother to help on those cold winter nights, particularly after the electrical grid goes down.
You're just encouraging.
She like, dude, my dude, member of the community, he is like, you ain't doing anything, boy. He's
No, that's not necessary.
all right. Finally, more officers arrive before it really goes down.
Look at this. This is what the city of Sheridan has incited. They got gloves and everything on.
Okay. But you guys can. Okay.
This is what the city of Sheridan has incited.
And there's rule number 92 in the Auditor Handbook. Never, ever take responsibility for your own actions. It's always someone else's fault.
Sam, you gotta leave now.
Yes, I am. I'm going to get my stuff.
No, everyone else is leaving. You're gonna leave too.
May I get my stuff?
Yes, get your stuff and let's go.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
much
Let
rejoiced.
me get my
And letting
stuff.
people bump into her and step into her.
Yeah,
but now
that
you're gonna
was
be a
not
tough
okay.
guy. Órale.
Why did you allow
Órale.
her me and my
Nobody
camera?
attacked you.
Yes, she
Really?
did.
I
We got
have
it on
it on
tape.
video.
Do your job.
Stop.
Mind your business. Mind your business. Mind your business.
Trying to be polite and nice, and you allowed that to happen. Was that your niece or
Martinez,
was
you brought
that
all
your
your goons in
sister-in-law?
here. That lady was
The
bumping
cop-
into her.
cop's going to
Bumped
be-
right
look
into
at
her
her-
camera,
look at this
man.
cover. She's
Shoved
ready
her?
to kill her.
We're
Look at her.
peaceful. You know we're
Yeah.
peaceful. You guys are the
Why are
violent
you?
ones.
What's her badge number?
Guys, let's
My
get
God.
out.
Opinion that.
Move them out or they're gonna be cited for trespass. Let's go. Let's go. or
You're in my
cited.
way, sir. I can't go unless you
Don't
move.
touch me, bro. I'm gonna walk out. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Man, why did you just push me?
You ran into me. Let's go.
Really? This lady just pushed me.
Come on.
No, sweet tea. She's escorting you out of the building.
Escorting.
This is how they act, folks. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Around the man, you're touching me.
You shut up. Shut up.
Let's go. You cause these problems. Let's go. Out of the building, gentlemen. You can bring it into courtroom. Shut your face. You're an asshole.
I need my keys so I can get in right away.
Ain't nobody causing no disturbance.
My goodness. Oh my God, look at this gang of people right here. Look at the gang.
She's ready to kill somebody. She's ready to kill somebody. Look at that.
Look at the gang of people, you guys. Gang of cops.
All these
That's creepy. Look at the gang. All of these people against the cameras.
All these people, including members of the very community that you're in.
All of these people against the cameras. Look at this. Get blind man, get army vet. Look at this gang of people. This is ridiculous. Look at this. No, this is scary. Yeah, this is scary. Not either. Look at this gang of people, you guys. Do you see this?
This picture.
Why does she sound so much like a Karen?
Really said a lot to me. On one side, you have a group of First Amendment auditors that have been escalating this grievance for months on end, all because Denver Metro couldn't get a picture that was allegedly taken of him, a picture he isn't even sure existed in the first place. On the other side, you have the actual citizens of Sheridan standing up for their town and the public employees who serve it.
I know,
So what
I
does
know.
everyone
The answer's
think?
in the question.
Please leave your comments below in the comment section. Where does this go from here? It has clearly reached a boiling point against the citizens of this town and these so-called activists that continue to escalate things. If this charade doesn't calm down soon, it would not shock me at all to see someone actually get hurt. I do hope cooler heads prevail because that is definitely not something I want to see.
I mean, it's true. If these guys don't get the hint that they're not acting in the interests of the local population, you know, the people who are under the auspices of the council and police chief, they're not going to win any friends. And there are going to be people who, like I said, like you keep saying, who's going to take that charge and, you know, teach them something. All right, guys, that's going to be it tonight. I do want to thank you for sticking with me as always. Look for me on Friday. I do have a couple of videos waiting up in the wings for that. But as always, I want to thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for all of your support, all of your guys' likes, your donations, your tips. You know what? Just being with me, it really does mean a lot. So thank you guys again. Have a good rest of your evening, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, take care.